And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you in a busy toy news this week. We're going to throw that business hat on multiple times this week, so be ready for that, but a ton of figure announcements as we're starting to move our way. The chains are moving through January. Things are working their way through the year. We're done with the slow season with the holidays, and now everybody wants your money. Everybody wants you to open up that wallet, get that credit card out, get that cash out, and we're going to talk about all of that here today. But of course, we always started off with a little housekeeping here on the channel. Let's start with some Patreon. Of course, we're in January, the January Patreon giveaway. Broadway from the NECA Gargoyles line. Shout out to the Gargoyles. Can't wait to start unboxing these, probably on Kyle Peterson 2.0. We got a lot of videos going on, as you guys do know, and I got all these gargoyles still to unbox, so we will get to them eventually. I do promise, but that is the giveaway for the month of January. Check out the Patreon, link in the description below. I believe you can be a free member of the Patreon now, so go sign up for that if that is your thing, of course. And a busy week this week. Hard at work, of course. Jack's Classic Superstars book. I'm going to keep poking the fire a little bit, but we do have that coming out very soon. How about a first look at the cover? Oh my gosh, there it is, the cover of the book. You will be able to buy it. Of course, Amazon is where probably 99% of the world buy things now, so that's probably where the book will be bought if you are going to purchase it. More details, we'll do a video on it, of course, so stay tuned for all that. But a labor of love, this book, and it will not disappoint, so stay tuned for that. Much more on that in the next couple of weeks here as we get dangerously close to release date. Also this week, a lot going on, a lot of snow in this area. I don't know about you guys, but I got snowed in pretty hard. I think 2 feet of snow, a foot one day, a foot as I'm filming this right now. So I got a lot of work to do outside as well. And then next week, I got some travel. I'll be up in Dubuque, Iowa, beautiful this time of year. I'll also be up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Oshkosh, bagosh. Oh my gosh, there is a lot going on. Busy things, and of course, all the videos. We'll have all the videos, 4 videos a day, like a young James Brown.
Put your ass down. Go to sleep. You know, give us all a break.
No, I'm not giving anybody a break, JR. I'm the hardest working man going today. I got work, I got travel, I got books, I got things going on. There is a lot going on, a lot on the plate. But like Ozzy Osbourne always says, no rest for the wicked. That is for sure. So a lot of stuff to come on the channel. Appreciate you guys all on this ride with me, this journey, watching the videos. Like, comment, and subscribing. Subscribing to both channels. Patreon followers, you name it. Shout out to all of you. But let's dive into it. Let's dive into the news this week. And like I said, a lot going on. And let's start with a little AEW Jazzwares. Let's start with a little Ring of Honor Vault talk. As this week, some of this eBay sellers, some of the sellers from overseas, looks like they got their hand on some of these Vault items. And a lot of people are all worked up about the Vault. I am not worked out because guess what? There's plenty of stuff to occupy our time right now. Plenty of stuff to talk about and to unbox. But the Vault, I believe, and I don't know anything, but my guess is, hey, they want to have all this stuff in stock. How cool would it be to open the Vault website and bam, here's 50 items between Pokemon, Squishmallows, Jazzwares, wrestling figures, you name it. Hey, the Vault opens this day. All this stuff is for sale, shipping immediately. I think that's a much better business plan than opening up the Vault. Here's stuff, here's pre-orders. We'll see it in 6 to 9 months. Let's open it up like it's an actual store. And I think that's what the Vault is going to end up doing. I think if we all look in the mirror, deep mirror reflection, we'll come to that same conclusion. Hey, let's have it open. Let's have the stuff ship immediately. And I think that's what they're eyeing to. Somebody long ago said maybe February, so I guess we'll see if that does stick. But we did see this week, we saw Danhausen. Looks like we're going to get an outer shipper box plus the box for the Ring of Honor star Danhausen. When we think of Ring of Honor, we think Danhausen, of course. But we know about Danhausen. We know he's a popular guy. So we got Danhausen coming. And then a 2-pack of the Young Bucks. Sound like the Young Bucks going to take on Sting and Darby Allin in Sting's last match. That should be an interesting one if there ever was one. But we are getting the Young Bucks 2-pack. We also know, of course, the Aleister Black. I guess it's not a Supreme, but boy, it sure looks Supreme in the package. We'll see what happens with that one. But those look to be the first 3 kind of drops we're going to have from the vault when that time does come. So stay tuned. We'll talk about it when that time does come. But now we turn our attention over to the retro wrestling aspect of the show. Every single week, there's something going on with retro and a lot of companies this week. But kicking it off would be, of course, Hasbro Toys, Grapplers, and Gimmicks. A lot of announcements, a lot of stuff from them this week. So let's dive into that. We saw more images, pretty promotional images, of the Rougeau brothers. I'm here for that, man. I wanted Elite Rougeaus. I wanted Hasbro Rougeaus. I wanted LJN Rougeau brothers. Man, one of the greatest tag teams that have never had a figure ever. Really one of the only really big name tag teams that never had figures. Well, that's finally going to change here. Very excited to get these 2 in the collection. We also saw, speaking in that same world, I guess, we saw the Canadians, Jacques Rougeau again. Technically the Mounties, but they're not the Mounties. That's what they are. But we got those guys coming too. Pre-orders sooner rather than later. Same thing with one British Bulldog. Now, there is a British Bulldog 2-pack with Diana Hart-Smith, of course, for pre-order right now, if that is your thing. But a British Bulldog, more Attitude Era, more Heart Foundation era, coming to Grapplers and Gimmicks, so be on the lookout for that one. And then one that came out of left field this week, it was, of course, one Bob Cardona. Yes, Matt Cardona's dad is getting a retro-style figure. Will be interesting on this one. I would love to know how many units are produced on something like this. I'd have to think it would start at about 500 units or so, give or take. Will be interesting. I mean, obviously, those that know Bob Cardona, those Matt Cardona super fans, major pod fans and stuff might buy that. But as we do know, that is a bubble. It's a big bubble, but it's still a relatively small bubble in the action figure world. And Bob Cardona may be a tough sell. We'll see. But if there's 500, maybe they'll sell 500 of them. But I do think that's cool. I love companies that take chances. And who knows? I don't know who's funding this stuff. I mean, Matt Cardona could be funding all these for all I know. I don't know. But I do love it when you take chances on things. That's how you move the business forward in any business. You got to take chances. If you play it safe all the time, you do the same old all the time, well, guess what? You're going to eventually stagnate. Other people are going to pass you by. You try to really throw stuff in on a dartboard, see what sticks, and I think that's what's going on right here. So a lot of stuff out of Grapplers and Gimmicks this week. Also, they did announce Oscar and Duke the Dumpster Droese shipping, and I actually got my order, the shipping tracking, just before I filmed this, right? So we should have that probably sometime next week, maybe next week's weekly purchases. Stay tuned for that one there. So a lot from the Grapplers and Gimmicks line this week. Zombie Sailor Toys, I think we mentioned this last week in the toy news. But of course, Wednesday of this week, the one-man gang did go up for order. Not pre-order, just a straight order, shipping immediately. And I already got my tracking on that, so I should have that next week as well. Very, very cool. And I think this is what's going to start separating the pack. We've had all the COVID highs and lows of the action figure game. We've had the long pre-orders. We've had the new companies coming. I think Zombie Sailor now, he's trying to step away from everybody else. And he is saying, hey, I'm going to get these things in. Going to work a little bit in silence. Get these things. Hey, here they are. Pre-order is no more. We're going to just put the order here and you'll have it in 1 to 2 weeks. I think that is really cool. People don't like people sitting on their money for a long time, especially in this economy. I think that works out really good and will work out really good in the future for Zombie Sailor Toys. But One Man Gang, I'm very excited about. I love the One Man Gang. A guy that has not got enough figures over the years. Can't wait to get this one into my collection. So stay tuned to that as well. And then Epic Toys, the former Cella, coming out with some amazing pictures the last couple of weeks. We talked about it at Sushi Onita last week. This week, of course, Mr. Self High Five. We're talking Diamond Dallas Page, old DDP, getting a retro-style figure. These look really, really good. They look more akin to Zombie Sailor type figures. Now, this is a prototype. This isn't a final production version, but we'll see. Things might be changing. Things might be heating up in the retro game in 2024, but DDP, obviously, a big one out there. A lot of people are into DDP, so that one will be coming fairly soon, I think, for pre-order. So stay tuned to that. We'll talk about it when the time does come. And speaking of retro-style figures, our old friends at Powertown, Conspiracy No More.
Wonder if they're watching your every move. Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
I said Conspiracy No More, at least for now. At least for now. No conspiracies this week, but we did see the missing link for the Remco line. Gotta say, on early pictures, we saw Magnum and Tully. I was like, oh, am I going to get these? What are they going to be like? Man, they blew me away in those pictures. Missing Link blows me away in the picture. Really, truly look like the WWE Superstars figures. So I can't wait to give those a test run, see what all the fuss is about with those. Missing Link, really cool. Another legend that has just not had figures forever. So very cool for the Powertown Remco line to put him in there. I think that'll be really cool. But we mentioned Major Bendies. We mentioned the Major Pod a little bit ago, but now we dive into Major Bendies. They did have their live show down in Florida. A whole lot of announcements, and we'll start with the Bendies here. It looks like Butterbean is getting a Major Bendy. I think that works a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how that one sells. Of course, have him square off with Mark Marrow, who is also getting a Major Bendy, so that kind of works together there. We also saw Conan. Looks like he'll be a store exclusive if you're Bowdy Bowdy and Rowdy Rowdy. Is that what he used to say? Something like that. Viva La Raza, of course, all day long with Conan, the LWO, Eddie Guerrero, and the rest of the boys. We got Conan there. And then one that came out of left field a little bit would be Clerks, as Major Bendy starts working outside of the wrestling landscape, which is a genius move. There's a lot of properties I think can fit into this, and I do truly think we'll see more properties in 2024. Be interested to see who gets Major Bendies in 2024 and beyond. So stay tuned to all that. A lot of announcements to come, I assume, from the Major Bendies crew. But the ones that make me very excited, of course, being a childhood LJN kid, is the big rubber guys. I'm all about those big rubber guys. Give me those big guys and put them in rubber. That's what I want to see. But we did get 2 announcements for the big rubber guys line. 2 very cool ones. Magnum TA, very, very cool. Magnum had a lot of figures as of recently. Got the Remco style coming soon. Of course, had the Powertown. He's got an Elite back in the day. All things coming up Magnum these days. But Magnum TA coming to that, and I really like and hope for the future that we're going to see, and it sounds like we will, in the big rubber guys line. We're going to get the LJN adjacent figures that we never got and some things that make sense around it. But we're also going to get maybe guys that were running hard, running fast, running free, like a young Rio, side by side with the WWF at the time, in the NWA, or maybe World Class, or any of the other ones out there. And getting a Magnum TA, maybe a future Road Warriors, maybe a Dusty Rhodes along the way. Some of those ones that would fit in the LJN era that just didn't have a figure. I really love the idea of that. So we'll see what happens. But Magnum's coming extra hot to the big rubber guys. Pre-orders coming up very, very soon. And then, of course, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. One of the harder, rarer ones from back in the day, especially if you try to find a 2x4 for your LJN. Good luck at that. But man, this Hacksaw, now Hacksaw is not my favorite character of all the major big rubber guys that have come out so far, but this could be the best looking big rubber guy. Man, this Hacksaw looks absolutely amazing, absolutely stunning. When they showed the picture up there, I said, man, that is one good looking figure. So I'm pretty jazzed about Hacksaw Jim Duggan coming to the line. We're here for that all day long. Bring on the big rubber guys. I like my guys big and in rubber. As I said, they're going to keep coming at us there. So that's the wrestling news this week. A lot going on in some of the third-party companies. Mattel fairly quiet this week, laying low, but they did release a ton of figures. If you watch the channel the last week or so, Legend Series 21, Hulkamania box set, Ultimate Warrior, some new showdowns, some new basics, new set of top picks, Elite 107. All that stuff released in the last week. We've been slowly unboxing all that on the channel, so check out those videos if you missed them. Got to think we're just on the around the corner from a little announcement from Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and the rest of the Elite squad. Have to imagine towards the end of the month, so we'll stay tuned for that once again there. But getting into some other toy news, this is where the business cap's going to get a workout here in this back half. But moving on, this is an easy one. Marvel Legends 2-pack. It is the year of Wolverine. I really loved Wolverine, or I really love Marvel Legends, I should say, but I do love Wolverine. Now, a lot of people, or a couple people, took me for task. Hey, you did a top 5 action figure lines of 2023. Legends wasn't in there. My personal opinion, there were some good Legends this year, like every year, but it was a bit of a down year. But I do think 2024 is going to be the rise of Legends again, at least for me personally, because it seems like it's going to be the year of Wolverine, and Wolverine and Psylocke, the first 2-pack up for pre-order, all the usual places. Entertainment Earth, use discount code Kyle, save 10%, of course. Big Bad Toy Store, link in the description below. All the usual suspects, as I do say. But that is the first one. Very excited about all these Wolverine figures this year. As growing up, I loved Wolverine. So this will be really fun to get all these Wolverine figures. Be interesting for a year-end list. And speaking of year-end list, I should have mentioned it at the top, but I did do the top 19 action figures of 2023. We unboxed thousands of figures last year on this channel, and I went through to pare it down to the best, the absolute best in action figures for 2023 check out that video. Every winner from their respective category went into one video, and I did my top 19 because there was 19 videos. Next year I got to do 20, make that a little bit more even. But 19 is what we did. So check out that video if you didn't miss that. An all-timer to start the year off. So there you go. But that's the Marvel Legends. Now we turn our attention to NECA a little bit. NECA a little quiet this week, but two interesting things. We did see the box design for the new Pizza Club Turtles. Basically, Ultimate Edition Ninja Turtles in the cartoon line. If you missed one of the other incarnations, you have another chance here with new accessories, new things. For those that missed them in the past or those that want extra set of turtles. Normally, I would say, you know what, I think I'm turtled out. I don't know if there's enough meat on the bone here. But then, of course, got the NECA van, the party van. I'm going to probably buy a set of these to put with the party van. And that's where it's going to go from there. So we'll see, but that did get looked at this week, was the box design. So be interested to hear your thoughts if you're in and out on these Ultimate Pizza Club Turtle figures. And then we saw one that kind of we knew was coming, and Super7 made reaction figures of these, if I'm not mistaken, this year. But it is the NECA Ben Cooper Costume Kids. Now, this is the kids, of course, that I think they used with Season of the Witch, Halloween 3. There was a box set of those 3 little kids. I'm guessing same bodies, getting the most out of your molds, but they put them in these Ben Cooper costumes, which are very iconic. When I saw these, I was like, man, flashback. I remember as a very little kid, people wearing costumes like this. Kind of at the end, or at the beginning of my trick-or-treating days was kind of the end of those costumes, but if you were a kid in the 70s, early 80s, those were pretty much the costumes a lot of people did wear. Just very, very cool, and these are a great set to put with other stuff. Maybe you put them with a Michael Myers or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Leatherface chasing them around or something. Do whatever you want, but I can see a lot of people having these as a Halloween decoration, diorama, something like that. To me, I might get these for a Halloween little decor around a pumpkin or something. But it looks like it'll be a box set coming in May. A little over $100 for that set, though. But it could be used for other toy lines if that is your thing. So I thought that was pretty cool there. Now we're going to get a little controversial here. Oh, yes. Get the old business hat out. But we're going to talk about an old friend, one Todd McFarlane, and his business practices of a big price increase this week, which I've been talking about. I've been talking about it for a while. I said it's going to come.
Kyle. Is this crazy talk you are talking about here?
Todd McFarlane chirping in from the couch. Cool your jets over there. You're lucky I let you hang out on the couch, Todd. But I have mentioned this in the past. When Hasbro started doing price increase after price increase, I said, hey, everybody's going to have to take a price increase. And a lot of people came back, McFarlane won't, he won't do it. And I said, everybody will do it. But it's a standard business practice. And usually what happens, and that's what happened in this case here, who's the big dogs in action figure game? It's Mattel, it's Hasbro, clearly the 1 and 2. They took their price increases. And some of the other smaller ones will take price increases at the same time. Some will not. Some will lay in the weeds and say, you know what, we're not going to take a price increase. We're going to stay where we're at. We're going to tough it out for a little bit. And we're going to hopefully take some sales, take some share from the competition. And that's what we saw Todd McFarlane do. He laid in the weeds for a long time. But all along I said, hey, it will come eventually. It waits for no one. Everybody's got to make money. Everybody has the same cogs, whatever you want to call it, going up. The price goes up for everybody equally, for the most part. And he will have to play catch up. Well, the time is now. We originally talked about this, 6 months ago, 8 months ago? What is time once again? We talked about it with the collector's edition one, the Captain Carrots of the world, the Crypto Superman ones, some of those other ones, the Deluxe Hawkman one. That was the first price increase we saw. There was no Build-A-Figure anything. $30 price point jumping from 20 to 22 up to 30. A lot of people scratching their head. Well, now, this week, we saw a McFarlane Toy Store exclusive wave go up with Psycho Pirate, Kid Flash, Superman, the Spectre, and of course, it's a Monitor Build-A-Figure wave. So it's a Build-A-Figure wave, online exclusive, the $40 price point for a figure. A lot of people said, what the heck is going on? What are they doing here? And so much chatter online, it even made McFarlane make a comment. Yes, I don't know if it was you, but it was somebody in your organization, Todd from the couch, that made the announcement that, hey, yes, things went up. This is an online exclusive. And I do understand that too, because if it's an online exclusive wave, it's not to traditional retail. You got to think the order run's going to be smaller, hence a little higher price. But they were very quick to say, hey, use code MTS10, save 10% on the order. You'll get it down to $24.30 a figure at that, but then you got to pay shipping. So it's a little bit of savings there, a little smoke and mirrors, but it is at least a savings. And I understand this, and I understand price increases, and I think McFarlane's finally having to take make these. But of course, people have feedback because people don't like price increases. I get it. I don't either. But it was coming. We knew it was coming. You got to know your discount codes. You got to play a little of that long game. You got to try to do what you can. And that's what happened with this McFarlane Wave. Now, I think it'll be a little bit more limited. You get a guy like the Spectre, which is a heavy hitter for me in that set. Of course, everybody likes to build a figure. So we'll see how this nets out here. We'll see how the sales go. As of filming, it's still for sale. There's no sellout or anything like that. So you got to understand what's going on there. So thought that was a really interesting twist and turn from Todd McFarlane on the couch, working in secret on his iPad as I'm doing McFarlane toy reviews. Just who knew I was going to be slapped in the face with a price increase this week. I just can't believe it. Can't believe it all day. But there it is, little McFarlane talk. But a final McFarlane, pretty quiet on the announcements outside of that wave there. But we did see a picture of, I believe, Ben Affleck, Batman. I've never seen Ben Affleck as Batman. I never saw the latest Justice League movie. I haven't even seen was it Robert Pattinson Batman movies? I haven't even seen those yet. So I'll get to it eventually. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? But we are getting those this week. So we did see pictures of that this week, I should say. So very interesting turn of events right there. But we're not done. Now we got to put the business hat on once again. We got to take a trip over to Super 7. And Super 7, the highs and lows of the Super 7 business. If you saw the best figures of 2023, though, the top 19, you say Super 7 came out pretty good in that one, I would say, with one of the greatest figures we've had in a long time, personally. But we did see this week a little bit of a leak. They tried to toy the announcement that it got leaked everywhere, and then I think Super 7 just said, let's go full-on announcement. They did announce their Dungeons and Dragon figures, and I don't know about this one. This one kind of has the Saved by the Bell crew saying a little something.
Dumb.
Stupid.
Crazy.
No offense to Dungeons and Dragon people. I guess I'm a Dungeons and Dragon guy. I bought some of the NECA figures, but I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know about the card game, don't know about the cartoon, don't know about the movies. I do know about the toys that I saw over the last year at retail, and I saw those all go to crazy clearance, down to $3 in some of my Walmart stores. I don't know if there's a fan base for these, and if these are going to be $55 to $65 in the ultimate form, obviously not going to be produced at the levels of Hasbro, but is there enough meat on the bone? Is there enough D&D cartoon fans from back in the day to jump into this line, especially after the failure of the Hasbro line? This is going to be an interesting one to watch. We've seen in the past Super 7 cancel orders because of not enough orders. Could we see that with this Dungeons and Dragons? I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening there, but that's not going to be for me. I just can't justify buying those. I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to justify. $3, I could maybe dabble. $55 for something I really don't know anything about. Not going to pull the trigger on that, but I'd be interested to hear if you're going to pull the trigger. If you're all in on this line, you're very excited about it. We'll see where it goes from there. And then this week was a big announcement in the ThunderCats world. Another wave of ThunderCats coming, and I'm here for that. We saw Kid Lion-O, which is an interesting one as well. We did see Snarfer, which felt entirely too soon. We just got Snarf in the last wave. I don't feel we need a Snarfer. Let's wait a little bit down. There's still some key characters to get before we get to a Snarfer, but we're getting reuse out of Snarf. We know how that all goes. But Snarfer coming in. And then Mum-Ra. We're getting Mum-Ra again for the third time, but man, I'm a sucker for a translucent figure. But he's going to be anywhere from like $65, $75. He's going to be an expensive figure. So I can see some people saying, I don't need this Mum-Ra. And it is disappointing because we had a translucent Lion-O that could have been part of the Cat Slayer. We did not get that. Are we never going to get that Lion-O? Will we see that in the future? We'll see what happens with that one. And of course, if you go to the Super 7 store, go over there, use code KyleP at checkout, support the channel. But if you do pre-order from, of course, Super 7 store, you do get the head pack. So that's always interesting, as we know. I like what Super 7's doing there with those head packs, trying to make people go to them, cut out the middleman. It makes a lot of business sense. I do understand that. But the final piece of the Super 7 stuff this week, and once again, there's only one thing we could say, and it's about Disney, and we got to call in the Saved by the Bell kids.
Dumb.
Stupid.
Crazy.
And while we're at it, let's call in Rob Halford for old time's sake.
From Rob Halford of Judas Priest.
Step on the red, cross on the green, never take a ride in a stranger's machine, and always make sure you're burning on turbo power.
And as Rob Halford did say, that's pretty much what Super 7 did, is they took a ride in a stranger's van, and that stranger being one Disney. Disney just not on the up and up. It sounds like Super 7, Disney negotiations, Disney toy lines, get out of here, we're done with all of it. I don't care about most of the Disney stuff. I've never been a Disney guy. remember being a little kid, wanting absolutely nothing to do with any Disney cartoons. Snow White, get her out of here. Lion King, see you later. I didn't want anything to do with that stuff. If there wasn't action like the Joe Team, Cops and Crooks, Mask, ThunderCats, He-Man, Turtles, I was out. I was totally out. I can't look at these little kiddie cartoons. They always felt girly to me. And I don't know, everybody's different. There's a lot of Disney fans out there. I've just never been one. However, I do love the Simpsons. I do love the Super 7 Ultimate Simpsons line. Now, it sounds like we're going to get Series 2, but Series 3 and beyond, kaput, not going to happen. It's off the map. It's never going to happen. Very, very unfortunate there, and it goes back to when this line was first announced. We talked about in the Toy News how it was a head-scratcher decision. I understood what they were trying to do, breaking up the core family members, trickle them out over different sets, but really they should have went hard between Series 1 and Series 2 to make the entire regular family, because now a lot of people are going to be out on the Simpsons line. I can see Series 2 orders being canceled left and right because, hey, this is it. These aren't the core characters. If we could have at least had the core characters, that would have been something special. Now we're left with a very unfinished, haphazard line of some amazing figures. Just didn't get to go where we wanted them to go. And man, talking about unfortunate, but Disney, once again, they are very, very expensive. We pay the Hasbro Disney tax all the time. Compare your G.I. Joe classified figures to a Star Wars Black Series or a Marvel Legend figure. You get so much more bang for your buck out of G.I. Joe because Hasbro owns the property. The other ones, they do not. They have to pay the Disney tax. That's what we saw with Super 7, with Simpsons and all these other lines. A lot of cost in here, and I think Disney's saying, hey, we need more money, we need more money, and Super 7's like, there's not enough people ordering this stuff to justify that money. Hey, we're treating these brands right, you got to help, and Disney's not going to budge. They're the top dog. That's the way it goes. So really, really unfortunate situation, and most unfortunate for the collectors like you and me that were really wanting to get this Super 7 Simpsons line going. Just very, very unfortunate. Now, Brian Flynn in the interview with Veebs, of course, former Foosh Veebs, now on the Robo channel over there, did make mention of, hey, maybe in the future we'll revisit some of this. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not. I don't know. I don't know if it will. I think that might just be a thing to say. We'll see what happens there. But Super 7, Simpsons line done. Dungeons and Dragons, not sure what to think about that. ThunderCats, cool. We'll see where that goes. But an interesting week this week with the old business hat. There's no doubt about it there. So that's it. That is the toy news of the week. Now we got to turn. We got to quickly adjust. We got to adjust to the album of the week. And the album of the week this week comes from a band I haven't listened to in a while, and I busted out the new album this week. The Great Heathen Army was the album, and it was, of course, from the band Amon Amarth. Amon Amarth, Viking metal, death metal, hard rock, heavy metal, whatever you want to call them. Now, a little bit guttural, a little bit more growly than I like my traditional metal and hard rock, but I've always enjoyed Amon Amarth. I've seen him probably 5 or 6 times in concert. Love it when they get the big old Viking ship out on stage, always cool, and then everybody sits down on the ground and they row the boat. I never partook in one of those things, but one time they did that. I think it was at Mayhem Fest. Who knows? But I did listen to that album. It was all right. It's okay. I like some Amon Amarth, but the standout by far was the single released from there. It was the Saxon and Vikings, and it was very cool because the band Saxon, yes, Denim and Leather, brought us all together. It was the Princess of the Night. You know Saxon, all the hits. Biff and the Boys over there, a duet with Amon Amarth. I thought that was very, very cool, and it was talk about different voices. My wife and I were driving down the car, and she's like, oh, I just hate this kind of heavy metal. She hates Amon Amarth style metal. It puts her in a terrible mood, where it gets me fired up to go to work and stuff. And that's just the difference between our musical tastes, I guess. But then the Golden Pipes of Biff Byford came out. She goes, now this is my kind of metal. This is what I like. And I said, okay, well, you're still good. You can stay in the car. You don't have to do a tuck and roll or anything. But we all love Saxon. Saxon's great and really added so much to this song. Here for Saxon all day long, but Amon Amarth, not going to be for everybody, but check it out if you've never listened to it right there. So there it is. That is the week that was in the toy news. A lot going on this week, a lot going on every week, probably from here on out, and we'll be here covering all of it on the channel, so make sure you do subscribe to this very YouTube channel. Give the thumbs up, of course, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Leave me a comment down below, your thoughts on anything we talked about here, and of course, don't forget about Patreon for early access to both YouTube channel videos, your best way to support the content this channel does bring. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. Don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on the X. _Kyle_Peterson on Threads. And on Instagram. So for the toy news of the week, you know what I'm doing. I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling to my snowblower.